Nigeria sits on crude oil, natural gas, limestone, iron ore, tin, and columbite. Crude oil flows from the Niger Delta and fuels economies in the United States, India, and across Europe. Natural gas reserves rank among the largest in the world and supply countries like Spain, Portugal through liquefied exports. Limestone feeds cement industries locally and internationally. Tin from Jos Plateau once drove global demand and still holds industrial value. Columbite supports electronics production abroad, feeding industries that power modern technology. The wealth is not limited to the ground. The Nigerian country produces doctors, engineers, creatives, academics, and entrepreneurs who excel across continents. Nigerians build careers in the United Kingdom, the United States, Canada, and the Gulf states, often rising to positions of influence and trust. Now, in structured systems, performance is recognized and rewarded. Outside the African continent, public structures reward hard work, education. As long as you're putting in that work, your effort is seen, is felt, and is measured. When Nigerians, should I be general here, Africans who have been away for positive reasons, I'm not talking about those who live illegally abroad. These people return home with training, exposure, and discipline, ready to contribute only to meet resistance that slows progress and questions merit. Now, this is true for Africans that were not born in affluence, for those who have seen the world outside of our continent from that privileged background. They come back home to Nigeria to rule. What leadership will that be when there is no relatedness, no lived experience with the suffering of the average man? Is that leadership? Would you call that effective leadership? Right? There's a pattern that repeats itself in such institutions in Africa generally. Systems protect familiarity over competence. Gatekeeping replaces openness. Progress meets suspicion. Innovation gets what's the word again? Innovation gets filtered through outdated hierarchies. Now, people who should strengthen the system are pushed to the margins or forced to adapt to standards that do not reflect excellence. This creates a cycle where growth is delayed and confidence in public structures erode. A system can work for most people when those entrusted to lead it keep their word. Public office carries an obligation to serve beyond personal networks. Yet, the pathway into power is often shaped by godfatherism, and that structure binds loyalty upward to those who secure positions rather than outward toward the citizens. It creates a chain of obligation that competes with public duty and weakens accountability. Leaders operate within constraints that reward allegiance over delivery, and reform becomes difficult to sustain. Africa holds vast reserves of minerals, fertile land, cultural strength, and a young population with energy and ideas. The continent has the ingredients required for economic strength and social stability. Yet, development does not match capacity. The issue is not absence of resources, it is how systems are built, maintained, and protected. Leadership, policy, execution, and institutional accountability determine whether potential becomes a reality. Better questions need to be asked. How do we build systems that reward competence over connections? How do we create structures that welcome reform instead of resisting it? How do we ensure that public offices serve citizens and not a select network? How do we keep ourselves safe? No country operates without flaws. I know that. But improvement is possible with intention and discipline. There is enough evidence to show that Nigerians thrive when given a fair environment. A nation cannot belong to a few, it must work for many. Progress requires confronting uncomfortable truths and refusing to normalize dysfunction. It requires people who have seen better systems to insist on better outcomes at home. I remember walking into a public office and being told, and I quote, "Madam, your certification does not matter in this country. Get someone in a political position to back you up. That's my advice." Someone told me that. He asked me, and I quote, "Who is your father?"